Okay, so the first question says, having completed the book, how has your understanding and perception increased on the process of international policy and law?
I think it's still boring.
Yeah, seriously.
I couldn't even finish it all. I was like, oh my gosh, shoot me.
Yeah. One thing that really struck me as I was reading was just like the level of competition and the occasional like attempts to sabotage the opposing side. Because like it mentioned in one part when some people would like hide their badge with their identity on it and then like request copies of his speeches to then like destroy them. And then it also said that like they would kind of hover over him as he's trying to write a speech and like say things about how his views were like ridiculous and things like that. So just like really kind of mean.
Yeah.
You tried to attack the other side and like sabotage their progress, I guess.
Yeah, it makes me wonder why politics has to be like that. Like, I mean, I know it's like wishful thinking that it be nice. You know, you listen to people, what they have to say, and you compromise, but it's just not how that is. They just play dirty.
Yeah. And I also learned just more about like how much time it takes to write the different policies and speeches because we talked about how they were up like for most of the night sometimes like trying to just revise what they had written to make sure that there wasn't any hidden meaning behind certain phrases, and so just trying to be so like detail oriented and careful about how things are worded and everything was interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Never mind. I can't remember what I was gonna say. I'm struggling tonight.
I just felt like it was like an eye opener it's like I had no clue that all that went on, that it was that big of a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's cool. Sister Meeker went there too, didn't she? Like, wasn't that what her announcement was about?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. And it's cool, like, a student went with her, and, like, you never know, like, how far you can actually go to, like, have your voice heard or something.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah.
I got this thing pulled up. Should we move on to the next question?
Sure.
Oh, crap. Okay. What role did you see the Lord playing in Professor Wilkins' efforts to advocate for the families of the world? What lessons did you learn for your own efforts?
Well, I think he prepared him by, like, he was at the conference or the women's broadcast or whatever when the proclamation was there, and even though he was a little hard-hearted at first, like, his wife was still there, like, supporting him and pushing him to do, like, the right thing.
Mm-hmm.
I just felt like he had been prepared for this for a long time. Like, and then the Lord, like, protected him, like, the whole time he's there. Like, he was there, 2 weeks, and he had lost, like, 28 pounds or something.
Yeah.
And he didn't eat and he didn't sleep. And it was, like, physically draining, but the Lord sustained him.
Mm-hmm.
And he was prepared. It's like he did all he could, and then the Lord made the difference and sustained him throughout that whole time when he had all those challenges, and protected him even when, like, I mean, they, kidnap Americans and take hostages and stuff, and he was not afraid the whole time, and he was protected.
Yeah, I had really similar thoughts to you, Karen, just like the fact that he was so busy, didn't have time to eat very much or sleep very much throughout his trip there, but that he was still, sustained physically to be able to carry on that work. I think it was kind of neat too, just to hear a little bit about how he still went to church while he was there with some of his, I guess, coworkers and like read scriptures and everything. So like just seeing how he was blessed for the effort and still staying close to the Lord throughout his experience there. It's kind of neat.
And I felt like his financial, having to pay money to make all those copies so that everybody had a copy, and he probably was a faithful tithe payer, and that probably the Lord blessed him with the financial means to be able to go and do something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I think I was thinking about what is just how there's one quote that I've always really liked, and I actually in college I had it. Well, I'm still in college, but before I was married, I had it up in my bathroom. My roommate and I did. It's just work like everything depends on you, and pray like everything depends on God.
Mm-hmm.
And so I feel like with this story and just how much he had to do and the blessings he received from God, like that totally applies. That quote totally applies to him and what he was doing.
Yeah, that's a great quote. I like that reminder.
The next question is, even though the book was largely about Richard Wilkins' experience, what important supporting roles did you see others playing in this account? Why is it important to recognize this?
I think that Susan, that lady, had a huge impact because she's the one who got him to go. And then also his wife gave him the proclamation before he left.
And she was so supportive of him, and even throughout, like when he'd get down and was not feeling like he was being real successful, and he'd talk to her, and she'd kind of encourage him to keep going and do what he was doing, and supported him being away from home and
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah, I agree. I had those same thoughts about Susan and his wife, Melanie, and just the fact that, like, once when he called home to his wife, she was going to pray for him, she said. And so I think having that, like, knowledge that she's praying for him was probably really helpful and sustaining to him throughout his efforts there. Just knowing that he was on her mind and everything.
Yeah.
I think that also that the Lord works through multiple people, and that, Susan was probably inspired and given a power to convince Richard Wilkins to go.
Mm-hmm.
If that makes sense. Or even just the simple thing like his wife calling him, telling him that she's praying for him, like just simple little things that can help him know that there's multiple people cheering him on.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for sure.
Sorry, next question. Ponder your readings from A Sacred Duty. What are some consequences and risks of minimizing and eliminating family and religion from public policy?
I think there's lots of recent things, but I kind of looked at it kind of like family where family starts is kind of like where society is born.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, if you want to fix the problem, you go to the family.
Right.
And if you're going to do away, it's the basis of your society. And if you do away with family, it's almost like a free-for-all where there's like no foundation. Everything is just, gone. It's just kind of like all these other like things would be set up to where there's no like basis of society anymore. It's just like there'd just be like all these little things and nobody working together.
I think it's unrealistic because, like you said, family is the basis of society. Like families exist no matter what. Like a mother and a father, or even simply a mother has a child, and that's instantly a family. So
even like a mother and or like a husband and a wife.
Right. Like that's the basic unit, whether you're gay, lesbian, gender, like no matter what, their family is always involved,
Mm-hmm.
That's why I think it needs to be in focus all the time because family is always going to be in existence.
Yeah.
And we talked about today in my family theories and dynamics class that often society, like even today, thinks that they can find like the things they need, like economic support, emotional support, like all these other categories that you can only find in a traditional family, like all of them together. And just the fact that we're going so far from that, and I don't know, I think it relates because we we
Sorry, my
no,
husband.
you're okay. You just distracted me. I was just.
My husband just made corn dogs. I had to tell you the story. My husband just made corn dogs, but they make those like pancakes on a stick too. And I bought some for my kids. And he heated them up thinking they were corn dogs, and he was dipping them in mustard.
Oh.
Sorry.
No, you're good. I was.
It's funny. He was like, "This is not a corn dog." Okay, sorry. Keep going.
No, you're good. But anyway, just like we need the family and everything. Like the family is like what you Karen said, makes up our society, and then also we just, when we have the traditional family, then we like all of our needs can be met as long as it's like healthy and everything.
Right. I love that class. It was such a good class.
Yeah.
It kind of reminds me of like the systems theory and the idea that no one lives independently from everybody else, but like we all are a system working together. And so you all said before, like the family is the basic system that makes up society. And so it's important to start at that base and make sure that's healthy and being taken care of so that we can have a healthy society.
Right.
Right.
Yeah. So in other words, we want religion and families considered. And was that the question?
We didn't hit the religion topic. The only reason why I think religion needs to be a main sus or like the word still needs to be highlighted is because the majority of America is still religious and still has a religious background.
Mm-hmm.
That's my
Whatever that religion may be.
Yeah, no matter what it is, like it may be a different religion, but it's still a foundation of a lot of people, whether they're practicing or not. Usually, people will claim a religion, unless
Even Muslim people who, who their religion is so different from ours as far as religion and God and stuff like that, but they are a very family-oriented group of people.
Yeah.
And other religions are too, It's not just us that's
Yeah. Look at Italians and Greeks and well, they're all Catholics for the most part, but yeah, they're all very family-oriented.
Yeah.
And one thing we got to remember too is that the proclamation to the family is not a proclamation to just the family. It's a proclamation to the world, to all people, to all nationalities, to all countries. It's not just here in America. It was given to the world to have benefit.
Mm-hmm. Okay. I think this is our last question. Yeah. Last question. Based on a sacred duty, what do you think we can do about it? Does the author implicitly or explicitly make realistic suggestions for ordinary citizens as well as those in a position of power and influence? Provide examples. A long question.
Yeah.
I think it's important to remember that the effect of just one person, and like this guy in the book, that he didn't think he was that important, and he didn't. I mean, it wasn't. I mean, he was an attorney, not necessarily one trained to go and advocate for everything that he did, but his effect on that he had one person, because and that's, I mean, I think it's important for us to remember that us as one person. It's like a few weeks ago, we watched that video where the lady, it was at that family conference or something, that she said that, she sent an email, it's just her and one email, and the guy told her that that one email changed his mind and his view on what he had once thought.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I think ordinary citizens, look at, I'm trying to think of a powerful example, like Winston Churchill, or, I guess you could say he's not ordinary, but
Who'd you say?
I was just said Winston Churchill. I'm just thinking of regular people that have made a huge influence. Like, okay, here's a perfect one. Anne Frank. I mean, she was just a little girl that wrote in a journal, but she made a huge impact on the entire world. And
Right.
I mean, so for ordinary citizens, just because you're ordinary doesn't mean you can't do anything extraordinary.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
That
just
makes me think of. Oh, sorry, what?
no. You can go.
Oh, I was just gonna say it makes me think of like Joseph Smith. Like obviously he had the Lord on his side for everything, and Wilkins didn't make as big of an impact, but I still think it reminded me of that.
Yeah. But
Yes.
by small, simple things, great things come to pass. So no matter how small it is, I mean, it can be a simple email, and you can change one person, or you can change an entire audience. But you can do it, even if you just feel like you're ordinary.
Right. Several years ago at one of our colleges here in town, there was a professor who's blind, and he, in one of his classes, had challenged his students to perform one simple act of kindness a day. And just in that class, it like blew up into our whole community to where everybody was challenged to just do one act of kindness. And it just evolved to like this humongous thing in the community where they had like bumper stickers, and it just went throughout the whole community, and we live in a large town. It's not just a small community. And we found that the whole community was trying to be kind to other people, and it made like this huge difference in our community for something one person did in a classroom of 30 students.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and it went on for like 2 or 3 years.
That's crazy. Yeah, I think no matter what it is, like an ordinary person has the power to influence others. And we did provide examples. What do you want to recap for tonight? I don't remember everything you said, or I would do it.
What'd you say?
I said, does somebody want to recap for tonight? I don't remember everything we said, or I would do it.
Sorry, it cut out for a second.
You're fine.
I can do it.
Okay.
Okay, so we basically talked about just the complexity of the process of, creating policies and law, and then at the international level, and just the time that it takes to make sure things are written clearly and there aren't any hidden messages, and there's a lot of competition among those different opposing groups. And we talked about how the Lord sustained Richard both physically by giving him the strength and stamina to keep working hard despite not having much, nourishment and sleep during the time he was in Istanbul. And that's how the Lord played a role in the work that he did there. And also the fact that he had access to the others from the family and was able to draw upon that for inspiration and guidance. And we talked about how different support sources were his wife, Melanie, as well as Susan, his co-worker that went with him, and the fact that they were able to encourage him and strengthen him when he was doubting his self and his abilities, and that he drew strength from their love and support. And we talked about how the family is the basic unit that makes up society, and how we need to take care of the family in order to have a healthy society, and that no one lives independently of other people, but need to be part of a family to make up a whole society. And lastly, we talked about how anyone can make a difference in the world, no matter if they're just an ordinary person, but all it takes is one person to voice their opinion on a certain issue, and they can change someone's mind as well and create a movement in that way and really make a difference. And that's about it.
That was perfect.
Wow.
Better than I ever do.
All right.
I think we're good. Till next week.
See you guys.
We'll see you later. Have a good night.